حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا وزنوا أنفسكم قبل أن توزنوا. Take yourselves to account before you are taken to account. Weigh yourselves before you shall be weighed. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, even though the messenger had guaranteed him paradise, on an occasion he was with Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that we came to a ha'it, we came to a garden that had an enclosed wall. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he enters into the ha'it, he enters into the enclosed garden. Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he's outside. However, Anas could hear Amir al-Mu'minin, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, talking to himself. Do you know what he was saying? He says to himself, Amir al-Mu'minin, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Amir al-Mu'minin, he says, Umar, the son of al-Khattab, leader of the believers, Amir al-Mu'minin, bravo. He's rebuking himself here. When he's saying this, he's rebuking himself. People, they call you the leader of the believers. Well done, Ya Umar. Bravo, Ya Umar. لَتَتَّقِيَنَّ اللَّهَ يَا ابْنَ الْخَطَّابِ. You better fear Allah, O son of al-Khattab. أَوْ لَيُعَذِّبَنَّكَ. Otherwise, Allah will surely punish you. This is who? Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Doesn't need any introduction, but he is reprimanding himself. He is censuring himself. He is blaming himself. Why? Because a person, he should look at his own faults before he looks at anybody else. He should take himself to account before trying to weigh the deeds of other people. A person should have what? Su'adhan. A person should have evil thoughts. About his brothers? No. About your brothers? Good thoughts. But about yourself? Evil thoughts. About yourself? Negative opinion. Negative thoughts. How deficient I am. How sinful I am. How neglectful I am. Because we all know each other. We have in front of the brothers, no doubt there's a certain mannerism that we have. When you're at home, your family, they know you much better than the brothers do. They know those weaknesses of yours. They know those shortcomings of yours. More than your family now. You know your shortcomings now. Things that your family doesn't even know. You know where you fall short. You know your weaknesses. And then more than yourself, things that you're ignorant of, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about you. So because of that, we have su'al dhann concerning ourselves. And as Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, the reason why we need to have su'al dhann of ourselves is because having husn al-dhann of ourselves, having good opinion of ourselves, having good thoughts about ourselves and being self-satisfied with what we do, that will prevent us from making absolute and true taftish of our soul. It will prevent us from investigating our soul, having an investigation of our soul. If it's the case that we had husn al-dhann, if it's the case that we have good thoughts of ourselves, then we're going to end up thinking and seeing our bad deeds as good deeds. We're going to see our faults as being acts of kamal, acts of completion, acts of perfection. Faults are going to appear to us as being acts of completion, of perfection. And thus we find that the Salaf, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim, they would reprimand themselves, they would rebuke themselves, own selves, personally, individually. One of the Salaf, he said, I thought of 100 good traits. I thought of 100 good traits. Not one of them did I find in my own self. From the Tabi'een, Yunus ibn Ubayd. I thought of 100 traits, 100 good traits that a Muslim should have. Not even one of them did I find in myself. Another one, he said, if it was the case that sins had a stench, had an odor, had a smell, nobody would be able to sit next to me. That is how we're meant to be doing, looking at our own faults. This doesn't mean that you don't enjoin the good and forbid the evil. An evil is happening, you forbid it. If it's happening in private, forbid it in private. If it's happening in public, forbid it in public, no doubt. But as far as looking for faults, searching for faults, pursuing the faults, that is something that is prohibited. Rather, a person, he looks for his own faults, and he takes himself to account before he himself is taken to account. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, on an occasion, one of his students, they come up to him and they say, what do you think of these lines of poetry? What do you think of these lines of poetry? He said, what are they? So then they recited the lines of poetry. إِذَا مَا قَالَ لِي رَبِّي أَمَا اسْتَحْيَيْتَ تَعْصِينِي تُخْفِي الذَّنْبَ عَنْ خَلْقِي وَبِالْعِصْيَانِ تَأْتِينِي. If it is the case, the poet, he said, إِذَا مَا قَالَ لِي رَبِّي, if it is the case, when it will be the case that my Lord will say to me, إِذَا مَا قَالَ لِي رَبِّي أَمَا اسْتَحْيَيْتَ تَعْصِينِي, do you have no shame of disobeying me? تُخْفِي الذَّنْبَ عَنْ خَلْقِي, Allah will say to me, do you have no shame in disobeying me? You conceal your sins from creation. وَبِالْعِصْيَانِ تَأْتِينِي, but with disobedience is how you come and approach me. So in that report that has been attributed to Imam Ahmad, he continued to repeat those lines of poetry. إِذَا مَا قَالَ لِي رَبِّي أَمَا اسْتَحْيَيْتَ تَعْصِينِي تُخْفِي الذَّنْبَ عَنْ خَلْقِي وَبِالْعِصْيَانِ تَأْتِينِي, continuously repeating them up until he went to his house, and he's repeating them while he's crying. He's repeating them while he's sobbing, up until he goes into his house, and you could still hear him crying while he's in his house, continuously يُرَدِّدَ الْأَبْيَاتِ, continuously repeating these lines of poetry. So the point is, my brothers and my sisters, may Allah bless me and you, is that we have to take ourselves to account, because very soon, very, very soon, we're going to be gone. Very, very soon, just like I'm sitting here right now, perhaps this will be the very place where my body will be lying, and then some of you here will be praying salah upon me. Maybe some of the brothers that are in front of me right now, perhaps it could be the case. One of the brothers here, in a few years, in a few days, Allahu A'lam, he'll be lying here, and we'll be praying over him, taking him to the cemetery and burying him. So we have to take ourselves to account, ikhwan. And as far as this Ramadan is concerned, then this Ramadan, the point of it is that it's a madrasa. It's meant to be a school of learning. It's meant to be an institution of learning. So we have to, whatever we have learnt here, we have to now implement it. Whatever we have learnt of the fadl of making dua, whatever we have learnt about making muhasabah of the nafs, whatever we have learnt about smiling in the face of your brother, being good to your brother, being generous, being good to your family, all of these khisar that we've learnt about, the whole point behind all of it is to implement it.